This podcast contains words that some people may find offensive, such as the Pet Shop Boys.
Yes, it is 2013.
Yeah, I still don't have my flying car.
No, exactly, yes. Popular culture reference there.
Thank you. There's more of them later.
No, you inserted George Holland.
Did you watch that over Hogmanay, by the way?
I watched it belatedly.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's all right. Ringing endorsement.
Yes. But anywho, it's 2013.
Yeah.
Can Place the Band, the only music podcast that people should be listening to, is back. And as per our usual...
Where is it?
Yes, as per our usual start to the year.
Yes.
We are looking at the BBC's Sound of... in this case, obviously, Sound of 2013.
Yeah.
Which 213 music people, so critics, editors, bloggers, broadcasters, etc.
Wow.
Come up with who they think are going to be the people to watch during the current year, and they drew up a long list of 50, I think it was 12, 15? 50. And once again, they've settled on a final 5, which we'll run through and tell you what we think.
Yeah.
So at number 5 are Chvrches, spelled with a V.
Yep. Instead of a U.
Yes.
Not spelled with a V at the C, but yeah.
No, which I think was that kind of Latin or Roman?
It's probably still Chvrches, isn't it?
It is Chvrches, yeah. They're from Glasgow. And consist of Lauren Mayberry, who is the main vocals and occasional synthesizers, and Ian Cook, synthesizers and vocals, and Martin Doherty, synthesizers and vocals.
Right.
I've only been able to listen to 2 tracks by them. One, which was on the BBC site, which I've already forgot the name of. That's quite impressive. We Think. And another one.
The Mother We Share.
The Mother We Share, yes.
Yeah.
So, over to you. The Mother We Share.
I didn't mind this at all. I didn't mind this track. I thought it was okay. I already have my eye on the sort of the quirky Band of the Year award. In the style of what's the chops? But it's I'll come back to that. But no, it's you know what I mean. Yeah. But they don't. But it doesn't matter. I thought it was very sort of the quirky, kind of alternative synth sound, various things thrown in for good measure, and a very interesting vocal from what's her name again?
Her name is Lauren.
Lauren, yes. No, I quite enjoyed this particular track. As I say, I was engaged.
Yeah, I didn't mind it actually. I thought it was a good slice of kind of electro pop. So quite pleasant. There was a bit of kind of in it, which reminded me least of part of Kelly Clarkson's song "I Do Not Hook Up."
Yes.
Similar melody, but which is fine. That's quite a good pop tune too. I should say the song was alright. The other song, the one I was just mentioning, We Think, which is available on the BBC's site, then recorded at Maida Vale, has the gentleman, Ian, singing. And I heard that first and wasn't too enamoured with that. Sounded a bit like Biffy Clyro doing Erasure.
That's a combo.
Yeah, and since I was never particularly a Erasure fan and have seen Biffy Clyro live and only found them kind of didn't really work for me particularly. But if more of their material is like Mother We Share, then I think they could be quite interesting.
I think they could be quite interesting and possibly even challenging. Here it comes, folks. Yaysayer for that crown of alt synth pop rock doodah. What's it? Yeah.
Oh, God.
Whatever happened to them?
I don't know. Actually, funny enough, I did just realise I did scribble down Kelly Clarkson song meets Yaysayer.
Ah, there you go. You see,
I can't even read my own writing.
No.
So
We're on a roll, so we're warming up.
we are. And we move straight on to number 4, which is Laura Mvula, who I believe is from Birmingham.
Right.
And I'll go first. This I like this more than I thought I was going to actually.
Yeah, likewise.
Woman with a really nice voice, really strong voice, and musically not as predictable as you might think. So it's not kind of, it's another kind of soul.
No, not at all.
Diva doing this, that, the other,
Yeah.
or it's another person doing this R&B type thing. Instead, and I read this, another reviewer coined this description of her, said it was gospel delia.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, because it definitely has that 60s tinge to it.
Yeah, there's a couple of tracks. One track particularly, which one is it? I did scribble this down. That reminded me of the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
Like the
Morning Dew.
Like the Morning Dew. The kind of the kind of chorus and vocal arrangement of that.
Yeah.
When it comes in surrounding her main vocal.
Yeah.
I thought, oh yeah.
No,
Kind of hints of Beach Boys.
I picked up on the 60s thing, but I didn't get to the Delia part. That's very good. I'm gonna have to coin that. It has a very obviously has a soulful thing running through it, but the She EP in particular does pull all the traits of Laura's vocal together, and the sort of the psychedelia background drawn in. At one point I heard Dusty Springfield as well. I thought, I think it was on Can't Live with the World, which I thought again was a very Dusty sort of song title as well.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, especially as you're going back to kind of Dusty Springfield, if you're going further back than that, maybe kind of Nina Simone type, almost kind of soulful jazz type thing, but with the whole kind of psychedelia and almost kind of stripped down kind of gospel thing thrown in.
Put on top.
It's very kind of minimalist production on, at least on that particular EP you mentioned, the She EP.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of lets her vocal stand out, and kind of unlike a lot of current stuff and stuff that we've been subjected to over the last couple of years, doesn't actually distract from the song itself, and of course you just listen to the song and the words and the melody in a similar way that I suppose the Michael Kiwanuka did last year. So I was I have to be said, I was more than pleasantly surprised with this young lady, and very happy she was made the list.
Yeah.
Moving on, we go to what has become almost, I suppose, the compulsory rap.
It's getting a bit that way. I don't know who edits these lists. Well, someone at the BBC, obviously, but yes.
And obviously, last year we had Azealia Banks.
Yep.
Who with her potty mouth.
Yep.
And this year we have another young lady called Angel Haze, who apparently doesn't get on very well with Azealia Banks. Just as a
really, okay.
You know, you got to have your kind of your wars in the raps.
Yeah, I suppose you do.
You know.
Yeah.
And anyway, in my 52 songs for 52 weeks CTTB playlist that I posted at the end of last year.
Yes.
I actually had her song "New York" as
Did you?
one of those tracks. And the good news is I still think it's a good track. The bad news is that the other tracks I've heard, it is by far the standout track.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but the problem I'm starting to have with a lot of rap in general, and even more so with female rap, is I'm just getting fed up with the niggers and the bitches. Frankly, it's just it's uninventive.
Has it had its day?
It's just sing about something. Can you not sing without having to kind of say motherfucker, niggers, bitches every single song, which is what she seems to do. Which again, I think, unfortunately, detracts from the obvious talent that she actually has. I
thought this is where Azealia Banks was actually quite clever, in that her song, particularly the one that was bound to offend someone somewhere, 212, was actually very, very clever in that it lyrically, yes, as we've said, wasn't easy on the listen, or wasn't easy on the dictionary, I should say, but actually was a very well put together song. And whereas this is a little bit, right, okay, if you like Azealia Banks, you will like this. Okay, they don't like each other, fair enough, but it's a similar sort of style. One of the strengths I found of the New York EP was the electronic backing. The legendary Neil Tennant did say recently that he's been listening to a lot of hip hop the last couple of years, mainly because he thinks it's the producers in hip hop, the only people who are producing interesting new electronic pop music.
I'll look forward to the PSP's rap album this year. Then,
I think we heard it in the sort of the backing to their last album, Elysium. But anyway, we've been this old hat. The backing tracks to some of these tracks were actually quite pleasurable to listen to, in terms of the sort of the synths and the beats drawn together. New York itself actually doesn't have much in the way of tune, mainly beats, but some of the other tracks did. And on Supreme we did get the token softer side of the ballad presented to us. So that again, you could sort of see, well, girls got talent, but do concur with your original point in that it's just a little bit of the same.
Yeah, which is a shame, really. But obviously the BBC powers that be don't agree. Or actually, they'll probably be more savvy and quite rightly think she'll probably shift records, which I'm sure she will.
I think that's the first podcast we've done where you have to actually have to label it as the 18 certificate.
This is true, yeah. I'll have to record a warning at the start.
I look forward to doing that.
May contain swears.
So anyway, moving on.
We're up to number 2.
We're up to number 2 already.
Yeah, I know. We're rattling through this.
Yeah, I know.
It's good news, listeners.
Sorry, we're going to talk about David Bowie, surely.
And probably for longer than we've talked about. Sorry, number 2.
Number 2.
Is
2013 now, come on.
Yes, is AlunaGeorge, who are electronic music duo from London, consisting of Aluna Francis, vocals, and George Reid. See what they've done there?
I see what they've done there.
Production.
And they've kept the capital in the middle there, which I'm always a fan of.
Yes.
It's come together nicely.
Yeah. So, electronic music. So, obviously, it's your street then.
It is. And okay, wait, I'm going to cut it in half again. I'm going to say musically, I found the backing tracks quite useful and quite interesting. And I actually quite liked the lead track from this particular single, Analyzer, musically.
Yeah.
Lyrically, again, back to sort of the cutting and the pasting. I suppose this is what's really happening, isn't it now? It's cutting and pasting. And the sort of the looping of the, it's not even looping, it's cutting and pasting. I've just cut the crap, of the vocals together. And, I found Analyzer very, very quirky. Kind of a bit hot chip. Musically, more hot chip. Not so sure what's going on lyrically though. So I found it a little bit frustrating to listen to. So I analyse it as I say, okay, the other track we have chosen, not so good, kind of repeated the same trick. But actually, Your Drums, Your Love, which actually is completely in support of my not so sure about the vocals argument, I actually quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
It really does strip everything down to beats, though, in that one.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly keen on
No, I don't think you would be.
on that. Or whatever the remix was.
Yes.
Well, watching over you.
Yes.
Yeah, watching over you again didn't do a lot for my.
No.
My biggest problem with this band is probably Aluna.
Right.
With her whiny voice.
You're not a fan of the Mockney Charmer, really, are you?
No, it's not even Mockney Charmer. It's just whiny. It's very reedy. It's very kind of 7-year-old girly. And in a kind of early Madonna kind of fingernails down a blackboard kind of way. And so that's automatically, straight enough, going to detract from any possible enjoyment to have of anything else going on. But even outside of that, apart from Analyzer, which I'd agree is quite a nice dance pop song.
Yeah, I think it's a hit.
And We Are Chosen at a Push is fine, but
Your Drums.
I'm already feeling I might struggle when it comes to listening to a full album's worth of
Sure.
AlunaGeorge. But
Right.
maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised by the time we get round to that point when their album comes out.
Or maybe we'll completely miss half these albums like we did last year.
Yes, we probably need to make a better effort to actually review the albums.
Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, they came in at number 2.
So who came in at number 1?
So number 1 was Haim. Rhymes with time.
Haim.
Haim.
Right.
Time. Haim.
Haim. Okay. Spelled Haim.
Haim, yeah. Who are 3 sisters. Esty, Danielle and Alana.
Yeah.
Born in 86, 88 and 91. So
right.
Quite young girls. With drummer Dash Hutton as the token non-family member and total male member of said band.
Right.
Anyway, they've been playing music for a while. All of them are multi-instrumentalists and been doing various bits either on their own or together over the years. The guitarist, Danielle, who I think plays guitar. I'll probably find out now she actually is the bass player. Kind of played guitar on Julian Casablancas' solo tour of the Strokes, and she's also toured as part of CeeLo Green's backing band as a guitarist.
Cool.
But anyway, they're together, and it probably wasn't a big surprise to find them come out on top of this for no other reason than pretty much everyone and their grandmother's been tipping them for big things in the music press for the last kind of 4 or 5 months. I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, in fact, that the Guardian had done a piece on them back in October, I think, saying how they were going to be the next big thing. And I have to confess, at that time I listened to a couple of the tracks, and possibly because I was expecting them to be a bit more rock than they actually are, I was somewhat disappointed by the whole thing, and was definitely in the no, don't see it, don't get it kind of mind space. But as we said, coming to this now, I think I've changed my mind, and I actually think they're much better than I was giving them credit for originally. Once I ignored the fact that they weren't a kind of big rock band, and were actually just a pop band, and a pop band bizarrely who seemed to be heavily influenced by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I was going to say very much so,
in a good way.
Yeah,
and
in an 80s way.
Yeah, in a bit of a kind of 80s way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually But today I've been listening to a couple of tracks. Don't Save Me, which I think was the last single, which is a really cracking track.
Yeah.
Oh, bizarrely, probably one of the least Fleetwood Mac tracks on it.
Yeah, different style.
Yeah. Because Forever was the first single, which got a lot of people kind of interested in them. That's probably the most poppy thing, that straight out poppy thing.
Yeah.
But things like Send Me Down and Better Off are both certainly have heavily kind of Fleetwood Mac kind of influences, and also kind of Cyndi Lauper-ish, but not Cyndi Lauper as from a singing point of view, but from a again, from I suppose the kind of 80s kind of pop rock leaning towards pop more than rock kind of thing. I'm thinking particularly when on the She's So Unusual album, when she covers things like Prince's When You Be Mine and stuff like that. There's a whole that kind of underlying kind of sound to it. So before I say again, I think I'm now looking forward to their album.
They were miles above the other competitors on this shortlist, I thought, in terms of their production values, in terms of their songwriting, and are clearly meant for big things. And I would concur with you. Better Off and Forever were probably two of my favourite tracks of theirs. They have got the pop sensibilities. They also do. I think they do have the rock sensibilities buried in there as well.
They do actually. If you watch the clips of them on the BBC thing from the Maida Vale, the live versions of the songs are slightly more rocky. The guitar is slightly more up in the mix than it is in the polished versions.
Yeah. No. So I thought I did genuinely think that that it was a nice collection of songs. I could happily listen to an album of theirs. However, because we seem to be pulling apart all of them, I did find just a little bit. I just found it just a little bit middle. I don't want to say middle of the road, just middle of my Peter's solid scale of solidness.
You can aim with the solid straight away.
Yeah, I'll just get that out of the way, then we don't have to do it again. No, I just found it just a little bit over time repetitive, but actually there's enough there to keep you interested.
Yeah, so I have to say I agree that at least certainly of the top five, I don't think picking a winner was very difficult.
That's quite a weak criticism of mine, actually. I can't sort of say that's a strong critique. They are heads and shoulders above.
Yeah, I would agree. From these five, if I'm talking about who I'm going to be looking forward to the albums of, it's them and Laura Mvula are the two that are albums won't be particularly hoping for good things from.
Yes, I hope so too. Although I hope not to hear Haim interviewed regularly if they are successful. They do come across a little bit handsome.
Well, yeah, there's always that problem, isn't it?
Sisters together.
Yeah. Well, sisters, at least it's sisters rather than Hanson and
yes, quite
brothers.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So I mean, if I was going to say, I'm going to say my head is obviously going to go with Haim, but my heart would go with Laura Mvula.
Yes. Okay, so that's it. You hit it at first.
Hey, should never hear from either of those again.
Yes, when we forget to review all those albums during the year, and come to the end of the year review, and we're going to go, oh yeah, Frank Ocean. Apparently, everyone's saying his album's great.
It was brilliant. Nicky and the Dove was a good album, apparently. Right?
But back with real music. David Bowie's got a new album coming out.
I hear David Bowie's got a new album. It's funny, I've not heard from him for a while, and there you are. That was. Wow, well, that was just completely unexpected. I'll add to the chorus of people that probably said the same thing to you over the last week or so. That came out of nowhere.
And also in this modern electronic age, quite astonishing that managed to keep it a secret, really.
Yes,
I think it wasn't all over Twitter and stuff days before, or even hints of him being in the studio or anything like that.
And just even the odd photograph of him coming out of the studio in New York getting circulated around the world. That was absolutely remarkable how he managed to keep the lid on that even his own people over here in the UK didn't know, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I doubt his wife knew. The lengths of secrecy this seems to have gone to.
Well, also, this probably explains why he did refuse to do the Olympics, because if he had done that, they'd have got the interest in him playing live again and doing performances again, which would have centred attention clearly back on him at a time where he was actually trying to finish off an album.
I mean, once the Olympics was passed over, I could have put money on, and would have happily put money on, him never appearing again in any shape
I
or
was
form.
starting to certainly lean in the same direction as well, thinking, well, he's obviously just decided...
That's it. He really has retired.
Yeah. Just enjoy life and chill out.
Yeah. Be interested to see if he tours.
Yeah. That probably won't be the most interesting thing. And I'm sure if he does, then it's most likely to end up being festivals, I guess, rather than a full-out tour.
Or even if he just negates the entire publicity circuit and just releases the album, and there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, actually. That speaks for me now.
Yes, and March. Is it March?
It's March. Are you excited?
I'm minorly excited.
We're not chalking this up to the sort of the slightly disappointing comeback of the year album already, are we?
Yeah.
It has the potential to go that way, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose the problem if you haven't recorded an album for 10 years. 10 years? So 10 years?
10 years, yes.
Then you always have that problem, don't you? Particularly if you're an artist that is of a certain stature. I suppose the last time we had that was Kate Bush with her 3 million words for snow, or it was called.
Yes.
And so in some ways you're always on a bit of a hiding to nothing. Because that period of time, people are only going to say bad things, really, because you're invariably not going to release a record that's your best record ever.
No.
Can happen, but
it could happen.
But
it's not. No.
No.
People have decided long ago what his best record ever is, or best records ever are.
Yeah.
And it will take a long time to change that, I think.
It's obviously whatchamacallit, the Glass Spiders.
Well, yeah, it is, that Tin Machine.
Well, no, that is one of the best
albums.
That is. I celebrated the news by listening to the first Tin Machine album.
But not the second one.
No, the second one is a bit poor.
Yes. So I look forward to reintroducing David Bowie. We've much talked but never listened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In other news, HMV.
There was other news.
Yeah, HMV have gone into administration.
Yes.
Although it looks like they'll probably survive in some form, with certainly fewer shops. As someone that obviously grew up buying physical music, this is obviously quite a shame that this is happening. Although I can't help thinking to some level it was always going to happen.
Yeah.
And partly because of the way the shops are run, for me as well. It's always almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. You got the stage when online was taking off, so obviously the focus of the shops, and particularly smaller shops, went from music to being other things, so particularly being DVDs
in particular,
computer games. Shopping Canary Wharf, for example, now is it's probably an eighth is music.
Yeah, if that.
The rest is all that kind of stuff, and actually physical devices. So iPods, not iPhones, but iPads, tablets, headphones, because obviously that's the most important thing these days. Gotta get a nice pair of headphones.
Yeah, you've got to have the right pair of headphones.
Another kind of gubbins. But as a result, if you're a serious music buyer, you're not going to go to HMV to buy your CD, because unless it's in the top 40,
no,
they're not going to have it.
No.
And they started having this problem quite a while ago, and I'm thinking, unfortunately, to try and compete with the likes of the supermarkets and just online retail itself, and focusing on the most popular stuff, you're actually losing the people that actually are still going to buy
the physical stuff,
which are people that are serious musos who, whilst they may buy some chart stuff, are invariably going to be wanting stuff that's not chart stuff. And so I think that focus in itself, particularly as far as smaller shops has gone, has been one of the major nails in its coffin for me.
Yeah, and there aren't that, unless you have access to, the city centres of London or Manchester or any of the other big cities in the UK, you don't have access to the whopping great big back catalogue that they keep on site, probably at great cost. So it is all about the small high street store. And it's not been a pleasurable experience of late.
No.
So not surprised. And I'm also a bit bemused at the apparent mourning for HMV, when it's sort of the enemy within and without. All the independent record stores that have disappeared over the years, possibly indirectly as a consequence of HMV nearby, have not been so readily mourned. And I do wonder if because the outpouring of grief, certainly through the media, is that there's a certain vested interest there from the media, obviously with an eye on their own online competition.
Yeah.
And whipping this story up into something a bit bigger.
Yeah, I think there will be some support for HMV actually bizarrely from the industry. Who still obviously want to.
You need a shop window.
Yeah, and still want to hold on to physical sales. As long as possible. Obviously, they still make far more money out of a CD sale than they do
on the online sale.
Online sale. So for the record companies, CDs were their biggest cash cow, and keeping that going for as long as humanly possible is obviously something they want to do. And as you say, also to have a shop window. So I think because of that, the larger stores, I think, will probably still carry on as kind of flagship kind of things. And I think you're also right about that. Obviously, smaller shops that have since gone into business probably won't be shedding the biggest tier over this either for the same kind of reason. And even in that obviously area, we had Scottish company FOP who went into administration a couple of years ago and got rid of most of their shops except for one in London and one in Glasgow, I think. You still have to face those kind of realities, although it has to be said the choice of music in both of those, whilst being smaller, is much better.
Quite. So interesting to see if they go that way.
Yeah.
So that is the sound of 2013.
Yes.
It's the doors closing and
the
for sale sign being put up.
Yeah. It's the sound of Amazon.
Yeah. Click.
Do we have any other musical news to discuss?
Don't know.
Well, that's sort of that.
We've got plenty of new albums coming out soon, though.
Yes, we have. So that's it for now.
Yes.
And next time, we'll be back to our usual routine of prattling on about new records and saying how it's a very solid record and I quite like this and I didn't quite like that.
Yeah.
And presumably you once again reminding us how much you don't like kind of hard rock heavy metal albums and that before telling us what an enjoyable record it was.
Let's see if I can find a heavy metal album this year I really hate.
Yeah. Actually, it might be an opportunity for that as well, because funny enough, apart from the surprise, I didn't mention it in the BBC list, is there are also a lot of pundits proclaiming the comeback of guitar rock this year.
Oh, right.
Which is strange considering that none of the top 5 are
not really, no.
I mean, there were some in the top 15, I think. There were a couple of bands, Palmer Violets, who
oh, yeah.
kind of jam strokes wannabes. And a band called Peace, who, from what I can tell, seem to be kind of a psychedelic indie band. Codeline, who are from Dublin, who seem to be a mixture of U2 and classic indie rock. And the most interesting one for me, Little Green Cars, who are also from Dublin, who kind of sound like a more indie rock version of Mumford & Sons.
Well,
take from that where you will.
It's at the time it has to come round again. I wouldn't be surprised if we are overdue a guitar year.
We are.
Yes.
Let's turn it up to 11.
Okay.
Until next time.
Bye.
Check out our website at cttbmusic.co.uk. Also, follow us on Twitter at cttbmusic. The CTTV Music Podcast is a Vineland production.